All right, picking up from where we left off the previous time, we chatted about natural selection here. And this is the last slide that we took. And remember, we talked about artificial selection, how humans pick traits, and natural selection. Nature's the one doing the choosing here. And so remember, it's about being useful in nature and being able to survive nature. Okay, so people might pick things like, is this animal cuddly? Do they, if we're going to eat that animal, maybe it's does that animal produce a lot of fat? Those kind of things. Nature's going to choose things that help an animal do well in its environment that it's in. Right. That's going to leave us to our idea for the day, and that is adaptations. Okay, so adaptations are traits that an organism has, but these are favorable traits. So these are things that help an organism survive in their environment. Okay, your hair color, your eye color, those kinds of things. They don't. They are traits. They are genes. They're definitely variations, but they don't help you survive in your environment. An adaptation would be like the human thumb. That is an adaptation. That our thumb is opposable, like all primates, and so we can grab things with our hands. That is a favorable variation there. So adaptations help organisms survive in their environment, and they're all around us. All right, those adaptations are going to give us an idea on how exactly organisms survive their environment. Here we're looking at a leather. Ooh, it's a sea turtle. Might not be a leatherback. That might be a green sea turtle. But turtles in general, I like to think about them a lot because they're wearing their backbone is kind of this armor plated house. All right, so it is, and I don't have a model with me, but they don't move in and out of that thing. That is their home. All right, that is their spine there, and that helps protect them from predators there. Oops, not what I wanted to do. We think about camouflage and coat colors. Those are all adaptations, variations that help organisms blend in, usually to their environment, or maybe to mimic something else. And then one of my favorites, a lot of organisms have adaptations that are weapons for them. All right. They are fangs. They're, in this case, venom, but they are useful variations in that way. Oh my gosh, I hate that. Sorry. There we go. Okay. We won't watch the video to clip together, but I always like to look at uh, mythical or fictitious animals when looking at adaptations, because like I said, humans are very aware of this concept because these aren't real animals. We've just used our brains to say, hey, what would make them really good at surviving? Look at things like dragons that are, armored tanks that can fly and then shoot fire. All right, those are great adaptations. It's got horns for defense. It's got tough scales. It's weaponized. Those kind of things there. So different kinds of adaptations. All those things are going to play a role in promoting survival. All right, flying is a massive advantage, whether you're a hunter or a prey animal. Those help get away from things. Your teeth are highly adapted to what it is that you eat. You and a dog and a cow have three very different sets of teeth based on what's most efficient for the kinds of foods that you eat and those kind of things there. All right. So we look at, like I said, thumbs. That was a big one. All the other animals have thumbs. They're just oriented in different ways. They serve different purposes. Ours are great for grabbing things and tool use versus whales. Theirs are fused together, so they're great for swimming. Dogs are in line, so they're great for running, etc. there. So we're going to kind of move on a little bit here, and we're going to do kind of a double lesson today. We are going to talk a little bit about how this theory of natural selection kind of came around. It's something that humans have known for a long time. Okay, we knew that different animals that live in different places have different traits. Yes, that's a fact. Polar bears look the way they do because it's helpful for them to survive in polar conditions. How they get those traits, that's the part that we're twisting our way through here. This guy gets the most credit for it, Charles Darwin. All right. He laid down some of the most complete evidence on how different organisms have changed over time and adapted over time. And it's evidence that we continue to find to this day as we're going. How would he find it? Darwin's the name that everyone knows. I always like to talk about poor Alfred Wallace. He came up with the exact same conclusion like a couple months later. And so everyone remembers Charles Darwin. No one remembers Alfred Wallace, even though he independently came up with the exact same conclusion just a few months later. We do name a line after him in Indonesia here between some islands. There's the Wallace line. He did a lot of his research out there, so that's where he gets that. So Darwin, how did he figure this stuff out? He was a naturalist, so not really a ton of scientists at the time, but a lot of species collectors. So he was hired as a naturalist. Traveled the world, made lots of sketches of species. When he's 22, so he's a young man still, he went to the Galapagos Islands. Now they are here, just outside of Ecuador, and they're an excellent place to study natural selection because they are isolated from the mainland, isolated enough that occasionally species might be able to get there, but they're not going to be traveling. This is probably a couple hundred miles, so they're not going to be traveling back and forth there on a regular basis. So species that got there have had generations to evolve and change over time. All right, they're volcanic islands, they're still growing, etc. there. So weird things that they found in the Galapagos that are found nowhere on Earth. Swimming iguanas, which there's a video on the next slide. Go check that out. That's a fantastic video. Blue-footed boobies are in there. Oh, this is the old video. It's still good. The new one's on, get that Prime to watch it. The biggest tortoises on Earth, and then famously a variety of finches. All right, so that led to his discovery there. So last thing here, he saw a lot of finches. He noted that there existed many different varieties. They were each adapted to eating a particular type of food, indicating that perhaps an ancestral species came to the island, and from there, their family tree branched out and went their different directions from there. Here's a sketch at what that would look like. Once again, a lot of birds that are very similar, but enough differences that they are different species. We will stop right there today. It's a fantastic end, and we can pick it up tomorrow.